Hi everyone. Now, when I first built a digital second brain for myself 5 years ago, I had no idea the powerful impact it would have on my life. It not only helped me get more things done, but it led to a calmer, more focused life and just led to a whole career running this channel, creating the videos and Notion templates I now share to help others do the same. In this video, I'm going to help you skip the whole first year of learning and all the other years I took to build this thing, my huge Notion Life OS, to help you fast track to building and most importantly understanding the essentials of the basic Notion second brain that can change your life, all in a short video series. Big claims, right? Well, hi, it's Simon and welcome back to Better Creating. It's about time we did this big Notion build along, and to that end, we're going to be starting with today's video in this area. We're going to build the Life OS, a quick drop inbox, a task and projects manager, and a weekly review system. And then in later videos, we will go on to build the areas, notes management system, goal setting templates and systems, so you can manage all of your tasks, projects, notes and goals in one place in a single life operating system. If you find it easy to get overwhelmed with the numbers of tasks, ideas and projects that you have on your plate, I've got a solution for you. Building a second brain to hold all of that stuff so you can get on and calmly and clearly do the work. My system is based on David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, and some rather lovely ideas around the POWER method, which is projects, areas, resources, and archives. And all of that is a very powerful tool for escaping stress and overwhelm in the process. What's not to like? So you can watch this video and the rest of this short series in a number of ways. Think of it as a box of Lego. You can, number one, look at the pictures on the box as inspiration to just go and build your own version, however you want it to look. Two, you could follow the instructions to a T and build this exact setup that I'm creating in Notion with me as we go. It's a kind of reduced version of this epic version with reports and all the rest of it of my Notion Life OS. Or number three, you can simply watch the tour of what I think is a good second brain, and then you can go and grab the full version over at bettercreating.com. The pro model already built for you, all in the form of my Life OS templates. So you can duplicate them into your workspace and get started. What's not to like? So I've linked the full tour video of my system below if you want to check that out. But for now, let's dive into this build and make sure that you are subscribed so you can follow along with the series if you really get into it. Okay, we are going to begin with a simple approach. So the first thing what you do is jump into here and write create new page like this. And what we're going to do here is the first thing you want to do with a dashboard is make it full width. And we're going to call this my Life OS. And I'm going to call this build just so it's clear for me. Build alone, build along, great. I'm going to add an icon. I would go to these icons and choose a kind of color vibe you want to go with. I'm actually going to keep this really simple and just go with gray. And I want to look for a home view and we'll make it house like this. And we're going to add a cover and I'm going to click change cover. I really like using Unsplash. Let's just search for something white because I always do this to keep it really clean and simple. Let's go with Drew's nice image here, which I always use. And you can reposition them like this. So that's the basics of doing that. There's a couple of things you should know within here. I'm going to favorite it so I can find it again. And up in this top right side, you might find that you'd like to click on customize page. And then you can do things like hide page discussions, which is the comments. I think that's good. Backlinks show on hover or off. I think we're going to build our own navigation, so I'm going to turn mine off. And we're going to table of contents we're going to keep because that'll turn up along there. That's all fine. So there's your page. Now another nice little thing to do is go 3 dashes and you'll end up with that nice clean line under your title. Or, as I really enjoy doing, I think it's nice here to do / call out. And we're going to create a little call out block, which is nice and clean like this, which can put our menu in. Now we're going to perhaps just click in here and you might want to change, if it's not looking like this, to default text and default background. So it's nice and clean like that. If you find that there is a logo in here, you can add an icon into that. And why don't we do that? Actually, no, let's leave it as it is. So that's where we're going to put our menu. And to do a menu, I'm going to do /tog, and I want to do a toggle heading. Let's do toggle heading 2. There you go. And here I am going to do a little trick where we're going to go up to, you can see it over my face here, up to edit, click emojis and symbols. And I can now see an emojis and symbols view, which you probably can't see at the moment. But for now, I'm going to just find a little circle and drop that in. And that is going to be my menu heading. Now, the key to this is we're actually going to do Command L. So that means you've copied this page's link. And here we can then add a link. In fact, you can just select it here. You can do Command V, or you can just select My Life OS build along that you've built. And that means that that will always link back to this page. So now you've got a lovely menu. Next, we need to build the databases that we're going to put in, and we're going to do the basics of this. So I actually want you to start drop down and do 3 lines. And here we're going to do another toggle heading 2, and we're going to call this system. And this is going to be where we keep all of the databases. So when I build my systems, you're starting to see what I'm doing here. This is an equivalent menu to what you're about to build, right, in My Life OS. And you can see we've got a kind of home page, but down the bottom, I've got a system where I keep all the dashboards and all the master databases, which this is obviously a huge system, but it's where we can keep all of the information. And the reason we do that, if we jump home, is that then all of these linked views of the kind of areas, dashboards, our projects that we're going to look at in a minute, and our tasks can be created from those databases. And if you delete these, you don't lose the original system. So it's the kind of pro way to do it. So within system, we're going to do /database, and we're going to do inline. Great. You're going to want a status, not started, in progress, and done. And while we're there, we're going to add into the to-do inbox, or why don't we go in inbox. Add that in, and I want to make that, set that as default. That's great. Click continue. So now we have inbox, not started, in progress, and done. Lovely. And the other thing I want to add within here is a button. I'm going to click this, and this button, we're going deep in quick, is going to be complete. And we're just going to write this as if the button is complete or not. And the automation we want for this, when the button is clicked, new action, you're going to want to edit property, status, and mark it as done. Edit the page, mark as done. Save. Great. So there's your button. We can just move that over. So this I would maybe rename to task. We've got a due date and a status. That's all we're going to need, I think, at the moment for our tasks database. The next thing is we're going to create another database, and we're going to do /data again, inline, and we're going to create a projects database. So we're going to do new table, call it projects database, rename this to system. And for this, we want the project name. That's fine. I think here you probably want status, but with this, I'm going to have not started. I'm going to rename this one to live, and you can consider if you want to give these themes. So you can color these as well, right? So not started, I might make light gray, live can be dark gray, and this I'm going to do dark gray as well. Or maybe live, I want to go with a color. So we could go with yellow, for example. So there's your status. I'm going to add a new project in there, just for our example. And in here, we'll call this example so we can see it. The next thing to do is to add a timeline, I think. So we want to give this a date property. And I want to, with this, we're going to select date. The date format, you can pick what you want it to be. I quite like doing day, month, year. So I'm in the UK. And we'll call this start and end date for the projects. Okay. Now with this, you want to always include an end date within it so that it would mean that, we can set our project date to go from let's say the 1st of the 1st, something like that, and you're able to see it. Great. Make sure that this drops in to your system view. Now, these are the very basics of what you would put in for something. So you now have within this system a tasks database and a projects database. The next job is to link the two. So what we're going to now do in the tasks database is add a new property and go to relation. So we click relation and you want to link it to your project database. There it is. So we'll select that. We want no limit and we want a two-way relation, and you want to see what it says within each. So here we'll just call it project, and here we'll call it related tasks. And in fact, here you might want to say related project, like this. Now you could limit it so it only goes to one project, but I think this is fine just to leave as it is. Set that relation. Now what that essentially means, as you can see here, is we can now, within each, view what's in the other. So if I click on related project for my task example, I have one option, which is the project, and I can relate it by clicking it, and then you will see that they are referencing each other within that system. And these are the fundamentals of being able to create a task and project management setup. Easy. Okay, now we only have system views. So the next thing you want to do is you want to duplicate your system view, and we're going to call this one inbox, and you can adjust to give it a little icon, which is nice. And you can even change it to be something like a gallery or a table or whatever, right? So I quite like my inbox to be a table. And then you're going to create another view, and we're going to duplicate this one. And this time you're going to call this live tasks, okay? And this we want to turn into a gallery. Now you'll see as you do that, it gets a little bit overwhelming potentially for newer builders. Within the gallery, we can now adjust what we show. So card preview, I'm going to have none to remove that. You could also have an image, but I like it as none. Card size, medium is fine. Wrap all properties, I think you want on. And then where you want to open new pages. I think I'm going to open new tasks in Side Peek, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Show the page icon, I think that's good. Now, in this little menu here, we can then select what properties are viewed. I think you're going to want to see your related. You're going to want to see the status. You probably want to see all of these. The due date doesn't read very clearly, so maybe we'll deal with that in a moment. And the completed button, and that's why that's really helpful, okay? Let's go back to our inbox. We're going to now do a little job on this, and we need to filter this. So the way this works is you're going to select the filter button up the top, and you want to filter by status, and you simply want the status to be only items that are marked as in the inbox. If you want to turn this into a rule rather than a kind of an editable filter, I suggest you click here and add to an advanced filter. And then it just becomes nice and clean, where status is in inbox. So you now have an inbox where if I change the status to not started, it disappears from the inbox. Very good. In live tasks, we want to do something different. We want to now filter this as well. And we're going to create an advanced filter where status is not in inbox or completed. Great, so you now have an inbox view. If we then make this to be in progress, you will see the task there in live tasks. But I think what you might want to do again here is duplicate this one more time. And this we could call in progress. And for this one, you adjust the filter once more. Well, actually, the simplest way is to remove all of these and where it's only in progress. And you can make it is in progress. There you go. So if we adjust this one to be not started, you won't see it in there. Great, so live tasks here, inbox here, system. So you now have these nice views of your different items. I'm also going to duplicate the live tasks, and I'm going to make this inbox gallery. Great, and I would adjust these as well. So that's fine as an inbox, but in progress, you may want to edit the view and adjust this to be a task list. Let's make it ticks, live tasks, edit the view, select a little tick box. And now you've got your inbox and live tasks. We're going to do the same with projects. And the simple way to do this would be to duplicate this. We'll call this live projects. Let's find a project thing. I quite like using files for this. So here, live projects are go. The properties shown are all of the projects. Great. But I actually think that with this is probably much better to have as a gallery again. And with this, why don't we make it the page cover that shows, that'll adjust soon. And if we go back out, properties, you're going to want to show start and end date and status, but not related tasks. We'll do a report on that later. So there is our live projects. You want to filter with status whether it's in progress, like this. And let's turn that into a rule. There you go. If we go back to system and just make this as live, it works. And then we're going to duplicate this one more time. And we're going to call this one planned projects. And with this, I think the kind of clock thing is nice. And this, we want to filter and make the rule where status is not started. Now, we almost forgot to do something, which is the following. System, you probably want within here to add inbox as well. But I'm not going to make that the default view. I'm just going to do that for the inbox view. So there we go. So you now have all of your views. We want to now, planned projects is done. Let's now duplicate this again. And we'll call this project inbox. There you go. Filter, one rule where status is inbox. Now, something I've just realized we got a bit wrong with our inboxes. You actually want to make sure for your inbox that it is inbox, then add another filter for status, and status is not done. So if you just click it as complete, it will disappear. So make sure it is inbox and it's not done. Same with your projects inbox. You want to change the rules so it is inbox and is not completed. Make sure that's cleared. Great. There you go. Planned projects. Let's just check it. In planned projects, we need to get rid of that. I made a mess up there. There you go. So it should actually just be not started for planned projects. Inbox. Let's check the filters. This will all make sense in a moment. Is in the inbox. And live projects, the filter is live. Great. We need to do one more thing in our system, which is create a button to complete a project and to make a project live. So what we're going to do is go into here and we're going to go to properties and we're going to add a new property. And that property is going to be a button. We're going to say make live, edit the automation. When the button is clicked, edit a property within here, status, and click progress to be live and save it. There you go. You can reduce that down and we'll duplicate this so you don't have to do all the work. Duplicate the property. This one we will call mark completed and edit the automation so that it is simply marked done. There you go. And I actually think, let's just call it mark complete. A bit cleaner. There you go. There are your buttons. So that means we can now do a few things. In live projects, we want to show the property which is mark complete. Adjust it to be how we want to look. I think it looks fine. In planned projects, let's just make that not started. You'll probably want to adjust the button to show for make live. And in project inbox, you'll probably want to add a new button. So let's add one more button. And we can call this add to system. And this button can edit a property of status and make it not started. And that just clears it from the inbox. Okay. Now there is a very clear reason we're doing all of this. Let's just go back to find our project here and make that inbox. So here we see it. So you can add it to the system, but you also might want to make it be live. So you can put mark project as live. So the reason we do this is it might seem like a lot of building, but then when you're actually using the system, it just gives you such a better way of working. So I can, like if I go to say my homepage, go to the quick drop inbox, look at my project inbox, and add a new one, I can then just process it really simply. And you can see I've created reports and there's loads of cool stuff that you're able to do within a system like this. So that kind of leads us now to, if we go back to look at what we've got, we now have a set of views for tasks and a set of views for projects, and we've linked the two together. If we close the system, we can now create the views that we want. And this is where it gets really fun. You're going to create within here, let's just do a little line there, and we'll do a toggle heading 2 and call it databases, like this. Now this could be put in a page later, but for now we'll leave it like that. And here we'll do toggle heading 2 and we'll call it /heading 2, sorry. We'll call this one dashboards. Now this is where you're going to create a page, and the first page I want you to add is a page for projects. So we're going to do page, and this new page is going to be my projects, and you're going to do / gallery view. You're going to then, rather than create a new gallery view, link to your project view that you created. You're going to click the database and find planned projects. And what I want us to do within this is it will just go into here and hide database title. Now what you'll see is all the stuff that you did before is still done. So if we go back to our original page and maybe just make sure that our inbox project is made live. So there it is in live projects. Actually, let's make it not started. There you go. So it will be in planned projects. If we then go into our dashboard, you'll see it's turning up within that view. Now I actually think with planned projects, I am going to go to the layout and I'm just going to hide the page cover for that. None, because I think it's nicer if it's smaller. It's the live ones I want it to be a bit snappier. Okay, so there is our view of planned projects. And this is a dashboard, so let's go full width. And what I'm going to do here is drop down and do /col to find 2 columns. And I'm going to drop this into the first one. And you can then drag things across. So we now have a view of planned projects. We can now drop in below, next to that, another view. So let's do gallery view. Let's go to our projects database and let's select live projects. Hide the database title, make live, and you'll see it's working. Now, the actual project page is going to need a bit of love in a little while, but for now, let's just add a cover so you can see what I mean. You have this nice image within here. You can change your cover. So it's very easy to adapt as you need, and we will create a template for that in a little bit. But there you go. There is your project dashboard and an icon in the theme that you're doing things. So let me just do this quickly. Change cover, unsplash. I just have a word I always search to find the same thing. If you want to keep it consistent, there you go, there's my projects page. I'm going to now just build the task dashboard as well. I'll show you how to do this quickly. Why don't we, now we've formatted this, duplicate the projects page, jump in and call this, we're gonna change this to the tasks logo. And instead of live projects, what I can do here is just add another view, and let's go for a table, link a database and link the tasks database, and we're going to go for live tasks. There you go. Now you could keep your live projects there as well if you wanted them. That's a nice approach. And this one, we are actually, if we just widen this out so we can work with it, we're going to add another view, and we're going to go for a gallery view, link to database, tasks, and you're going to select in progress and hide the database title. In fact, what you can do is rename this to be task in progress or tasks in progress, whichever way you want to do it. And this just allows you to see what you're currently working on. Now, I personally think with this view, it might be better to duplicate this and take this view down below it so you can see your planned projects. We can then delete this view. And here we'll delete planned projects. So you've kind of just used the formatting. So you've got your live tasks. I actually think we will duplicate this one, take this one down and drop it. Will it go? Yep, next to the planned projects. And we can line all of these up. Let's remove that, delete that view from there, and delete that view from there. So as you can see, what I've essentially done is got my projects down the bottom and my tasks up the top. There's many ways to do this, but I think that's pretty clean. We're going to hide the database titles. And then what you'll probably want in here is to then go H2 and go task list, for example. We could call this live tasks. Yeah, that drops in there. And then we could, if we do another little line, 1, 2, 3, take that little line and drop it here. And then let's do H2 and we'll go current projects, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to drop that above there. So you can now see we've got a nice clean view of everything that is happening. Now, if you wanted to with your live tasks view, you can of course kind of use some of the other things within there. So you might want your inbox in there. So let's just pick a table view, link a database, find the task list and add the inbox there as well. Okay, so there's the basics, right? We've got tasks, you can mark them complete and they'll disappear. We've got our projects and that's our to-do page view. We can now jump back home and within our system, we want to create the beginnings of our menu. Now what we're going to do is, well, hit the like button if you are enjoying the build along. And of course, if you want to get subscribed and you haven't yet, make sure you get subscribed because it just goes a long way to find more great content around organizing your best life with me on the channel. So within your menu, you can now go, I would propose this, do an @ and mention the page, which is to do action. You can then go again and go at my projects and mention my projects, and you'll see you're building yourself a little menu. Now, this is the cool part. What I propose that you do is you go /sync, create a synced block and drop your entire menu inside it. What this then allows you to do is to click on it, click copy and sync, go to your to-do view, and you guessed it, Control V, paste it back in. And this is giving you a full navigation system between your pages. Go to projects, do the same. And you can see I can jump to each page. Now on your home page, you might also want to show some of these elements. And this is how I do it in my system. If we go back to my Notion Life OS, I make it look like this. I have them listed here so I can do quick views of key information, but then I can also jump through to the dashboard itself and jump back quickly. So depending on the layout that you like, you can decide how to do this. So for a moment, let's just talk about navigation within a system like this. And to do that, I actually want to show you this. If you take a look at my phone here, when you're on a mobile, things will operate differently. And as you can see, using this little menu view on a mobile is actually quite tricky. It's lovely on a desktop, but not so easy. And that's why I have those page views, so I can jump to the dashboards and hit that button, rather than hit that, I can hit the big button and jump back, go to the inbox, jump back. This really does change it. So it's worth you looking at your page and working out what you feel works for you. But this is the system that I think works the best. So if you jump back to this page, this is essentially what you need to do. I think you want to go toggle heading 1, and then you can mention within the toggle. So we can go mention to do. It might be too big, but the way to check it is to check your mobile, see if you like the way to use it. I mean, I actually really like that navigation. And in some ways, that's kind of weirdly not working. So I need to adapt it. It's a bit like app development, right? So why don't we just edit that again? Edit, that's a better button. Let's do that. Great. So you can just look in your symbols section. Let's link that once more. I want to link that to LiveOS, and that will edit all of them, so we should be working nicely. And if you want to do /turn, you could turn this into a toggle heading 1, so it's as big as you can get it, and I would suggest that. Now, I personally prefer to, again, do columns here, so I'm going to do /column, 2 columns, drop this into the first, move this over, make sure that it's viewable, lovely, and then we can move our to-do list items up. Keep our system down the bottom there. And after that, I'm gonna go put a little line, and we're gonna do /tog heading 1 at mention, and you're gonna wanna find your projects, my projects, and there they are. There is your homepage. You can see here, that is now starting to look really fantastic. I can easily jump to the pages that I wanna jump to. I can jump to my projects and jump back. And now you're going to be able to use it really well, which is fantastic. Now you are going to want an inbox page, and that's the next thing that we're going to want to build. So if you need to take a break, this could be a moment to do it. And we're then going to add our inbox, and soon you will have a full task management and project management system at the basic level in this. If you want to take a break, hit the like button if you haven't yet, and we'll dive into the next section. Okay, so we now want to add ourselves within our system another page down here in our dashboards. I would suggest you just take your to-do action and duplicate it. It gets easier the more you build, right? And this is a really nice, clean way to do it. So we're gonna duplicate that. Sometimes Notion just slows down a bit when it's creating everything else and you have to wait for it. So we can always wait on that. While we're doing that, you might want to just clean up your views here. So for example, you might wanna go put some columns in, clean up the other views so that they look nice and clean. I'm gonna do that. We're gonna put live tasks up here. And actually you're gonna need to kind of build it like this, do 2 columns under that. Now, I actually personally quite like, it can get a bit squished here, so you might actually want to pop that under that, tasks in progress, and then live tasks there. That could work. You just keep that below, so you've just got to play with it. So when you open that, it's not huge yet, so it's dropping that down, but it's when it gets bigger, you might find you want to rearrange the look of it, but I'm going to just so this looks nice and sexy. No, that's fine. Great. So that's our live tasks for you. Done. Let's just go home. Let's do the same with projects. We're going to do columns. I want to put my view in here. We're probably going to add some action buttons there later. So let's just live projects. And for now, planned projects, like so. Okay, there's our homepage. Let's now jump home and see if it's created it. It has, so we can go back in and we're going to call this quick drop inbox. The idea would be that you can just quickly jump to the inbox and add new tasks in without any worry at all. And then when it's done, you're happily away. And you could even set yourself a little icon that does the job. These are my icon packs. If you're interested, you can find those on bettercreating.com. So let's now go back into Notion, and here you will see the option to add this quick drop inbox. So we want to just reference it here. So we're going to do add quick just to make sure it's showing up. There it is. And you potentially would move that. You could drop it in there like that. Great. I would do my columns here, /columns, and drop that in. Now here, we're going to use this view. Let's drop that in up there. We can delete this. We can delete this. But we can delete all of that. So we're just going to use this. This live tasks can go. We've got our, we're going to rename our inbox to be tasks inbox. Now with these, you might find you want to relabel them so they're easy to see, right? So it could be like that. We're going to add another one. you just do the usual, go and find the database, projects, and pick project inbox. There you go. And this could be like that if you wanted to, and happy days. So there is your task inbox. This is just a really simple place to put it, but the advantage of it is if you keep a line here, you can literally just go put your idea in of what you need to do, and then when you need to add it, you could literally just then drop it in to there. Now, I want to check that the filters are right on my task inbox. This should be is inbox. And then, we got the filters wrong on that. And then where status is not done. Okay, so that is what you need for your inbox within there. So you can hide that database title. Now, one of the advantages of this is you can just drop it in like that. Really cool. And then we have our inbox page. The joy of it being, you can decide when you type things in, what things are. Actually, build a shed is going to be a project. Call mum is going to be a task. Very, very simple. You can just drop them in and then you can edit them on, put them in on your phone and edit them here when you come back to them. That's the joy. So let's actually just drop those in as examples. Call mum, build a shed. I love that function. That's why we build a quick drop inbox. When you're on your phone, you don't even need to put stuff into the database. You can just jump into the page and go, feed your cat, like that, and it's in there. Drop back out of it, find it here, drop it in, and you have a really simple system. We need to make sure on our inbox that the property, we're gonna add one more property, I think. So let's just go back out. Something we missed was in our inbox. Let's just add one more property, which is a button. And we're gonna do add to system, edit the automation. When it's clicked, edit the status to make the task not started, save. And you can add other actions. You could send an email to someone or show a confirmation, or there's lots of things you could do. But let's just save that for now. Great. There's your add to the system button in your inbox, and in your inbox gallery, make sure that it shows. Obviously, this is why we do it all earlier, so that if you want to, you are able to just duplicate it as you build it. Because now, of course, I'm gonna have to go back and edit it on this as well. Yeah, so I wanna show add to the system and move it above complete. But there you go. Okay, this should mean that as you use it, you can just click onto the page, update any due dates that you have. You could set a priority thing, which we can do at a later point, add that in, and then when you're ready, you can just add it to your system, and that is your inbox. Final thing to do, of course, is to add another one in here. So let's just go to the top of this. We're gonna do / what were we doing? Toggle heading 1. And we'll do @quick. There's the quick drop inbox. Let's just take our little divider into that. And there you have it, your full task and project manager. So that's the super simple version. Now there are loads more things that you are able to do with this. We can take our time to really build out reporting views and other system elements. To give you a little example, in my Notion Life OS, I have a couple of other elements that I've built into my project system, which is things like a report view, which is a formula. Now, don't worry about that. It can go very far. Okay, the next stage of our build is to create the 2 key elements that I think will mean day to day, you actually keep on top of what you put into this system. So if I go into the page and look at my template version, the fully realized version of this, that is the weekly review and life areas. Now, what my weekly review does is show you a view of projects, goals, and life areas when they're due for review. And you can mark them as reviewed and they're cleared. And there's a little system that we're going to build in for projects. And then we will also do that for goals and life areas later on. But I want to show you the basics of it. And then the next thing we will work on is that life areas section. Now, this is probably the best part of the system in my view, because it means that you can focus your attention on a particular area. So each of these, for example, career and business, this is filtered. Everything is filtered, including like buttons to relate to the specific area and project views to relate to, you'll see here, the specific area. And so we're building this to really be able to focus your attention in the right way. Let's now go back to our build. We're going to jump into building the weekly review. So first thing to do is to create a new dashboard. It's probably stands to reason that it would be useful to take the to-do action view and duplicate it down here. So we'll let that one turn up. While that does it, we're going to go /H1 once again and find the toggle heading 1. And in here, we want to rename this. So let's go back into the thing. And this is going to be called weekly review. And let's change that to be, what could this be? Well, a week. There you go. We can add it to our list here, like dropping down and going at weekly. Drop it in. There you go. That will now show up on all areas. We're going to call this one projects. And then we're going to call this one areas for later. Let's drop that in under, whoops, that was totally wrong. Oh well, okay, we'll just duplicate this. You can delete the view of tasks. Remember, these are linked views, so you're not deleting the original database. So we're going to put projects in there, and this one we will call areas. Let's delete planned projects. And why not take this down here as well, and we're going to do another one. Let's make these toggles as well. So we'll do H2, maybe, toggle heading 2, and we'll call this one goals. So that's going to be for later. Let's /turn this one into a toggle heading 3, go right down, toggle heading 2, there we go. Those two are ready for later, and projects, turn, toggle heading 2, and then you can just drop this in to that. Great, so we now have a nice view for our weekly review. I'm actually gonna hide comments because I'm not a big fan of those. There we go. So there's what you're gonna be able to review later on. Let's now go back home, and we're gonna go and drop in here at weekly review, just so we have the view there. Great, there it is. And then down the bottom here, we want to go into our databases, and we're going to create within projects a weekly review view. So probably live projects is a good one to work from. Let's duplicate that. We're building it here so that you can then add your weekly review wherever else you want it in future. So we'll call this, I'm gonna call it that, and we'll find our little thing. Great. The next thing you're going to need to do is go into system, and we're going to need to build the weekly review system. Now, this is how this works. We're going to add a new property, and we're going to add a start date, and we're going to call that last review. We're then going to add a number property. So you can do that here as well by going in new number property, and we're going to call this review frequency, and you want to do that in days. So essentially, we're then going to create a formula that counts 7 or 10 or however many numbers you put in there from the previous date that we've set. So that's good. So for example, if the review date, let's say, was last Friday, and then we want the review frequency to be 7, we now need to create a formula that calculates the difference between those two. What we're going to do is create here a new formula, and this is going to be our first engagement with the ideas of formula. And we're going to call this, okay, we're going to edit the formula, and we want to put a date add. So you're going to type date add, there it is, and you can see how it asks you to input stuff. Now, I wouldn't overthink reading this one at the moment, but essentially, let me show you what it is. It's going to be date add, and then we want to do last review, comma, review frequency, comma, and then you're going to go open parentheses in days, close the parentheses. And this will essentially calculate this, a date from this point, this many times further forward in days. You click save, and you should see, there you go, 11th of Jan and 18th of Jan. We now need to create a button which marks it as reviewed and something to say that it is due. So the next thing you're going to want to put is, we're going to create a new formula here, and we're going to call it review report. In fact, why don't we just call this project report? We'll click on here and find a little info. There it is. So we've got our report, and you're finally going to want to add in here a calculation within this, which gives us whether or not it's true or false. So to do that, we're going to just create a new formula, and we'll call this review overdue. Put a little clock on it. There you go. We're going to want to go in here and go review due. And if that is greater than today, that will allow it to calculate and create a checkbox. So basically, if it's past today, it's due. Great. So if we go and make this older than today, you'll see it checks it. Let's just check it. There you go. So it will generally say if it's, yeah, that's not bad. You might want to adjust it so that it ticks it after being equal to, and to do that, you would just need to also put in greater than or equal to, and I think that's probably a better look. Good, so now we have a checkbox that does what it needs to do. We just need to create the report. I'm going to show you how I've done that in my system here. The report, there's a number of parts to that, but the bit you're going to really want to copy here is this. If review overdue equals true, then tell us. Okay, so we're going to copy that. And we'll just drop that in here. Now, so you're typing in if this property is equal to true, which is the tick box, and then we can style it to make it red. You don't need to worry about too much about that. Really, you just need to put, say, review overdue, otherwise nothing. And I'm just going to drop that in clean like that. That's what you need to be copying down. So take a moment to pause the video if you need to do that. Okay, that is our review overdue. Now, what we could do within this formula is also say when it is due. And the way to do that, if we jump into this formula here, is copy my next review formula. So last reviewed and next reviewed. And we're going to do that formatting that we need to be doing here. So we're going to take this section, and I'll show you what we're doing. You can put a little plus in here and return, shift return to drop that down. And then into this view here, shift return, we're going to just place this. So style, next review. Now format date, this we're going to put in as review due. This is our set frequency. I'm just going to clear that. And you put a final little comma on the end. We're just going to, under review due here, overdue, return that so that it drops down. I'm going to rename that to be next due. I think that is clearer. Great, so you've now got your style next review in bold. That's that first section. We've got plus the date. We're going to format the date, open the brackets, format the date, review next due, and give it a date language. You could make it that if you wanted it to be, as we did before, and close the brackets on the format. So that's another section. You can return this, shift return, plus style, and we're going to say it's due every, yeah, with grey and italics, this number of days, which is our frequency, plus days in grey. So again, take a moment to copy this down. That's the first section, and then we have this. Let's just make this really clean for you. Final section, if review overdue, then say it's overdue. So that should mean you've now got this lovely little report. If we open it up, check it reads correctly. Next review, this, every 7 days. Now, if you wanted to, within this, you might want to drop every 7 days down one. You can shift return within the text. That will allow it to be showed like that. Yeah. So if we now change the review date to last review to being more recently, you'll just see next review is due here. That's it. So you've got your report. The final thing we need is a button to engage with the report. So let's now go in here and duplicate this. And we're going to call this mark as reviewed. Great, jump into here. We now want to edit the automation. And when we do this, we're not going to change the status. We're actually going to change the last review date triggered, I would say. So you're going to change last review to the time that you press this button. Click save. Let's now test it. So our last review date is the 11th and it's currently the 15th today. So let's press mark as reviewed and it's changed it as we need it to do. Great, so that's all working beautifully well. So I'm just going to make this a couple of tasks have a review date. So let's make it 7th. So this one's out of date every 7 days and it's overdue. That's great. Let's now go and adapt our views. So you might find that within live projects, you want to show your review report. So we're just going to go to properties and show project report. And you might want to move that up to there. You might even want to do that so it's nice and clean. Projects due for review, we of course want to show it. So properties, project report, and we want to show markers reviewed also. And I would probably say that this goes here, maybe this goes here. That's looking pretty clean. Great. So you've got your project review system and look, we can check it. It's working. Fantastic. We want to make sure that the filter for this though is correct. So let's change the rule where status is live and add another filter. Or here actually you want to be whether it's live. Yeah, I think that's fine. And where review overdue is checked. So if we now go to this project and make the last review old to check it, you can see it turns up, review overdue. Oh, whoops, we've done it in the wrong place. Sorry, no we haven't. So we can now go and complete the weekly review system. So we're going to go into weekly review. Under projects, you just simply want to do /gallery, gallery view, find your projects and find your projects due for review. And there it is. Beautiful. Now, the other thing you may want to look to do here is to update the views in my projects. So you can jump into my projects here and where it says live projects, you can just show those two properties that you've added. So the report and the markers reviewed, there it is. So you might just find you want to drop that in like here, maybe status goes to the top, that looks cleanest to me, markers reviewed and markers complete. And then you've just got a nice kind of clean look and it does mean that you can then review projects within that as well. So that's worth doing. There you go. So that is essentially your task and project manager put into the system and ready to go. Make sure you subscribe because next in this series, I'm going to show you how to build the full life areas system. Now, the life areas system is probably my favorite part, and it is where you can create bespoke templated dashboards for each area of your life where you can view things like tasks, projects, and then the other things we're going to build within the system, which is our knowledge management system and our goal tracking setup. So that is the second video in this series, is creating this areas database and then linking it into your system. Now, as you can see, this is my Life OS, and if you jump across to bettercreating.com and you just don't think you can take on this entire build, probably what you've seen is going to get you to understand the full process much more easily of what I've put into this system, and you can download the complete version that I've created from there. Otherwise, jump to the next video and we will create our areas database, drop down here into our system, and away we'll go. And you can find that video right here. Make sure to hit my face to get subscribed, or you can watch this video down here for more on how I'm using Notion and other tools to keep truly productive. See you soon.